Hi, and welcome back to Tea Talks, episode 8. I'm Eric.
And I'm Nadine. And today's tea is Twinings of London, decaffeinated chai. We're returning to one of our favorites. So
Still a favorite. We've enjoyed the other ones, but this one's good. Better.
Yeah. So as you can tell, my voice is back this week. Very nice return. Yeah, we're a bit tired today.
A little bit. It's been a full day. So today, we're coming back to this. We talked about this last time. We said we would tell you how to pronounce it. Unless you've Googled it, you probably don't know. So, go ahead.
The pronunciation is Hygge.
Yes.
Hygge.
Hygge. Hygge.
Hygge.
And so this is a game that is to foster conversation and cozy company.
Yes.
Is it Scandinavian? Yes, Scandinavian. The word hygge is the idea of enjoying the good things in life, is the idea. So it says the back of the box of the game. And
Yes.
so we're going to talk about this. This is something we'd encourage you to look into getting as well. It has, I believe it's over 200 questions that just are questions that would spark conversation. And actually, last time we pulled out a card, just the other day, we pulled out a card, and the first question gave us at least 30 to 40 minutes of conversation.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And it was pretty cool that it just kind of flowed that way.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely something to look into for
I think it was
conversation.
a card about
Did you have any
memorable roommates.
Memorable roommates or neighbors?
Yeah. And it,
so we reminisced on that for a while.
it was fun.
Yes.
So.
The card that we read last time, we said last time we were gonna talk about this time, and so the question on here says, should parents introduce their children to a religion, or let them figure it out themselves? To the first part, absolutely yes. Children should definitely introduce their parents should definitely introduce children. And again, we're tired. Sorry. Parents should definitely introduce their children to religion because they will not figure it out themselves.
Yep.
But it will be kind of lies and things contrary to truth will be fed them by their peers and the world around them and society.
Right. I think it's Paul Tripp. He talks about how we are all made to be worshipers. I mean, that concept comes from the Bible, that we are going to worship something. And if we as parents do not guide our children into understanding who God is and why we should worship him, they will inevitably worship something else. And oftentimes what they're going to worship will be themselves. So our children need something outside of themselves that they can look to realize their finiteness, their own shortcomings, and to give them something to actually live for.
Yeah.
Without God, there's really no reason.
Right.
For life.
No purpose. Because he's the one that created life, and so he's the one that gives it purpose. And without him, there's no purpose. And also, the thing about worshiping themselves is, I think you said that, and that's something that if you think about it, there's all the agendas and things being pushed by the world. Ultimately, it's just worship of self.
Yeah, it's all very much rooted in hedonism and narcissism.
Yeah,
that you yourself are the most important thing, that you can define truth on your own terms, and you don't have to define it by any other means, and it leads to chaos. Because who's to say whose truth wins overall?
Right.
You have to have a standard of truth. Even the statement, there is no absolute truth,
is a self-defeating argument.
Yeah.
Because that's an absolute statement. And so if that's true, then there is absolute truth. But if there isn't any, then it doesn't work. It's just circular.
Yep.
So yeah, read Romans 1. Romans 1 kind of defines that idea that just people left to themselves end up suppressing the truth and creating it their own, and it just ends up with chaos.
Yeah. It dissolves into very bad things. So, yes. So teach your children religion.
Yes.
I highly recommend the Christian religion.
Yeah.
And the Yahweh God of the Bible.
The truth of Scripture.
The only real God. I would definitely start there.
Yeah. Start in Genesis.
Yeah.
In the beginning, God created. You got to start there.
And I will say, if you don't know where to start, there are a lot of great resources. We have several on that bookshelf.
Yep.
That walk your children through the Bible in a chronological manner. For little ones, the Jesus Storybook Bible is good for little ones. As they get older, there's the Kevin DeYoung's book.
Oh, The Biggest Story.
The Biggest Story. He now has like a Biggest Story Bible that's really big and it's on my wish list. I would love to get. The Gospel Project has several
good resources for them.
Yes, Bible storybooks that walk chronologically through the Bible and tie every story to Jesus. It's a beautiful, wonderful resource. So there are things out there.
And the Bible Project, even for, I would say, even older ones, teens, and so they have, and even our kids enjoy it. They're not teens yet, they still enjoy it. The Bible Project also has good videos that kind of give overviews of the books or even the Old and New Testaments, and just another really good resource for digging into Scripture and becoming more and more familiar with the overall story and storyline.
They even have a video called "What is the Bible?" that walks through the whole storyline.
Very well done.
Yes, we enjoy Bible Project videos.
Yeah, a lot of good things out there. I mean, probably the best thing you can do is just read the Bible with your family together. But the resources are good tools to help you dig deeper, and get kind of maybe clearer picture. I don't know.
Yes.
Good help in that way.
There's countless resources out there that you can find to help your children and yourself know how to teach these things to your children.
Yep.
As you should.
Yeah. Should we put a second question on here?
Yeah.
Second question. For what episode in your childhood do you probably owe your parents an apology? I don't know, because anything that I would probably owe them an apology for, they already know about, and I have already, it's already been taken care of when it happened.
Probably.
So I can't think of anything that I was not the kind of child to go behind their back and do things that I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should apologize for that now that it's on this end of it. So I don't know. I don't have anything like that I can think of, right? Like, ta-da.
I don't know. Like, I know I've told them about things now that I didn't tell them for a very long time. Like sneaking out of my bedroom window onto the roof and climbing up like on top of the garage. When I told my mom that, she was horrified to learn that like her, 7-year-old kid used to climb through the window.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I had like attitude issues when I was a teenager. What teenage girl doesn't have attitude issues? I don't know.
I think what teenager doesn't have.
Yeah.
Junior high boys can be very moody.
But I also know that like even more recently, I've actually thanked my mom for the way that she raised us as kids, and that I really think my parents struck a really good balance between sheltering us from the worst of what was in the world, and yet exposing us enough to the world to know what was out there. We didn't live in like this insulated bubble.
Right. And we didn't either. I think it was the same for us. We had, you know, we were I don't want to say that protected, but not isolated, I guess you could say, like a little bit, like we were exposed to things that we needed to know about in the world.
I had a friend share that she's like, I'm not bubbling my kids, I'm raising them in a greenhouse. Where you're in this greenhouse where you're protected from the harshest forces, the harshest winds, but you're growing up in the world still in a way where you're then going to be ready to be transplanted outside to thrive. I think that's a good picture of what we're trying to do and what my parents tried to do. Like, I was friends with people that, just thinking back, like, I'm surprised my parents let me be friends with those people. But I'm glad they let me be friends with those people, because there are people who needed Jesus.
Yeah.
And I may have been the only light in their lives. And she let me work at a public, the city park. I mean, because she knew the people who were like, a lot of the counselors and things were like the lead counselors were all like teachers in my Christian school, but they all worked for the city. So I was like, it's kind of a safer environment, but I was still around and mixing with a lot of public school kids. And so I got exposure to what public school kids say, do, think, talk about. And so a lot of things that are in the world are not as shocking to me, as if I had grown up actually like bubbled and insulated and never exposed to anything that was in the world. And then all of a sudden I step out into the world and I'm just
blown away by
like, wait. So
because in that case, then you have all these questions of, you know, which is right. I think in that case where you are like isolated, and then at some point you get away from it and you're like, well, wait a minute, this isn't what I feel like I was taught it was like.
Right.
And
like, I just thought all these people were mean and bad and horrible, and then you meet them like, oh, actually these people are really nice. Wait.
Right. There's nice people. Like, wait, what happened?
Right.
Like,
and I appreciate that my parents, I was able to be exposed in those public school settings, either through camp, counseling at camp, or in the Cleveland Youth Wind Symphony. And most of them were public schoolers. And so sitting among them, having doing concerts and practices with them, I was exposed, but then I could go home and talk it over with my parents. I was able, if there was something that came up, I could be like, Mom, they were talking about this. Like, what is that about? And I had a safe place to go back to talk about everything. And there wasn't anything my parents weren't like, oh, we don't talk about that. I don't. Yeah, my mom said, you're allowed to talk to me about whatever you want.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we had that kind of, I guess, growing up environment too. I mean, I was homeschooled, but we were part of a co-op where there was a lot of different kids involved. They were all homeschoolers, but I'm not sure that all of them were Christian. And so they're definitely more worldly people than we were. I mean, that seems a little self-biased, I suppose, but they were, I guess, maybe they weren't as conservative, I guess, didn't seem as churched, and so it was a little different. When I was a teen, I got a job at a deli working among unsaved people, and that was interesting. Definitely that exposure you're talking about, where you get exposed to things and you it's like, oh, okay. But they were nice people, and they understood I think where I was coming from, so they were they were respectful of that.
Yeah.
But still, told jokes or said things that weren't, in that environment was normal, I guess.
Yeah, and then just having a safe haven to come back to.
Safe place to come back to, right? Home was always a safe place to come back to. It was good. It was needed.
Yeah.
It was needed.
Yep. I remember we took the bus trip down to Cincinnati for a convention, and we were allowed to bring DVDs to play on the bus. And I brought Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And people laughed.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. It's really good, But everyone made fun of it. They thought it was really funny. They're like, what is this? And then the next movie they put in was Office Space. Which, for those who don't know, because you were super sheltered.
Or even weren't, but you just don't know.
Weren't.
Because I wouldn't know.
It is an
I've heard you say that before.
It's an R-rated comedy for language and sex.
Yeah,
And there was no way to avoid any of it. It came over the speakers. It was on the screen. It was one of those like, oh my goodness, kind of things for like 2 hours. And I came home from that trip, and I said, Mom, thank you for sheltering me from some of that stuff. Because it was a lot. I was like, oh my goodness. Scarred. It's a little bit scarred from that. But I was like, people live this way and think it's normal. And it was normal for them.
Like unsafe people are going to live like unsafe people.
It's true.
Which is why movies and stuff today are like that too, full of that stuff, because it's like, this is what life to them is. It's what it is.
Yeah, and so like back, I guess it was almost a year ago now that I had texted my mom and just like, I want to thank you. I know I've said it before, but it bears repeating. Thank you for how you raised us, and that you didn't like super shelter us from stuff like you did from the worst, but we are still exposed in a safe way. And so that's what we're trying to replicate with our own children now. So I don't know if there's anything I need, any episodes.
Yeah, I don't know.
I need to ask permission for it, and not permission.
I apologize.
Apologize for.
Yeah.
I don't.
Nothing comes to mind, so nothing that I haven't already apologized for. Yeah. So I don't know. The last question on here said, would there be any benefits to being in prison?
No.
Like personally, no. However, I thought about this scenario. If going to prison is a way that somebody whose life is totally messed up, they made a lot of bad choices, and they end up going to prison, and it's in prison that they get connected with somebody that shares the gospel with them. I don't know if I call it a benefit, but like that, that life, I don't know, trajectory.
It could be
that story, that testimony. That could be. I don't think a benefit is the right word to use for that scenario.
I think,
but it could be an unexpected blessing, I suppose you could say, of somebody being in prison where their life gets changed because of God leading them to that point, allowing them to get to that point where they've hit rock bottom and they're in prison and they're like, and then somebody comes along and says, hey,
this is the gospel.
Let me tell you, about Jesus. And they're like, well, and then it just changes their life, and then they have an awesome testimony. And I mean, let me just say, by saying it that way, every testimony is a good one. Whether you were saved at 3 or at 43 in the life of prison or whatever, all that, like any testimony is a good one. It's not like, well, mine isn't as good as it. No, the
miracle
of salvation is always amazing. No matter what story, no matter how you were saved, if you are, saved, however that was, however that came, however God did that work in your life, whether it was at 3 or at 53, whatever, it's good. So don't be ashamed to share your testimony.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, because I said somebody getting saved out of prison and all this in prison, so that would be an amazing testimony. But
yeah,
anyway,
I think that'd be the only.
I don't think there are any benefits as we think of them to being in prison. I really don't.
I think except for that, maybe the spiritual benefit of people whose lives have been wrecked by sin, and they're in really bad habits, destructive habits that they feel like they can't be saved from.
Yeah, they're not unforgivable.
To realize that God can save them from themselves, that He can change you from the inside out. And
renew that purpose for
that you can have a new life trajectory in Christ, that He can redeem anyone. Like that would be honestly probably the only benefit to going to prison, because many prisons have chaplains, and those chaplains share the gospel. Hopefully, I'm sure there are not so great chaplains,
maybe some that don't,
prison chaplains out there, but I do know of, even in our area right now, there's a chaplaincy program at the local prison,
and they do share the gospel with them, and give them gospel literature and things like that. So, and God is doing work.
We heard testimony of people. Actually, the current chaplain at the prison got saved through the chaplaincy program. At the prison. The previous chaplain had given him the gospel, and he got saved. He got out, he got married, and then he became a chaplain. And it's like he can speak to prisoners like no one else can,
right?
Because he's been there.
He knows what they're going through. Exactly, because he's been there. Yeah.
For me, I would think of that almost as a harsh mercy of God, where He gets you down to the lowest, and it feels like maybe God hates you, but then that's exactly where He wants you to be, to then change your life.
Where there's nothing else really, there's nowhere else to turn except to Him, really, in that point.
No.
But I would say there, other than that, no benefit to prison. No, not really. No, to being in prison. Prisons do have a purpose. I should clarify what I said there. There's no benefits to being in prison.
We could look at it this way, though. If there's no benefit to prison, then why do we have prisons? Like, there is a benefit to prison, because they're supposed to help rehabilitate people.
I misspoke. Society. There's no benefit to being in prison. I was correcting myself because I did misspeak and said no benefit to prison. There is benefit to prison as an institution, as existing.
So for me, personally,
to be in prison, there's no benefit. No. Other than the one we just talked about. It really isn't, though.
It's not.
I guess the only other thing I can think of is benefits to other people in protecting everybody else from somebody who's a murderer, let's say. Yeah.
Like those are the benefits of prison in general.
Yes. But would there be any benefits to being in prison? No.
No.
All that to say.
I would not want to trade my life.
Yeah, no.
I'm good. I'd rather not go there.
Yeah.
So. Let's go for another question.
One more. Sure. We got time.
Watch the next question launches into 45-minute discussion. But we don't have
okay. First question on this card is, what is the nicest thing someone in this room has ever done for you?
You married me.
I was going to say the same thing. You accepted. You said yes. It's the nicest thing you've ever done for me.
I don't know. I don't know. You do a million nice things for me. Every day you do nice things.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
I even He was like painting our house, trying to get it.
Well, the trim, a lot of the trim in the house.
The trim.
And stuff. Yeah, painting, a lot of painting.
It's looking so nice.
And our door, front door needs painting. Really bad.
So it's.
Painted the inside of the front door.
I put like a new. Gave our house like a new freshness, and it's been really nice. We've been working really hard like the last like week, and it looks really nice.
Trying. Well, thanks. It does look good. I'm glad it's turning out well because I'm not the best, not a pro painter or anything, but I can do it. But
I think it looks really nice, and that means you're taking me for a nice birthday treat.
True.
Taking me out for my birthday in like a week.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Me too. Yep. Well, and you do a lot of nice things every day too. Just taking care of us and meals and laundry and everything in between.
Keeping the house all together.
Yeah. So I can paint. Nice. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. As I said before, we don't use show notes for this, and so sometimes we're like, what are we supposed to say now? What should we say?
We do try to aim for almost 30 minutes, but
yeah, give or take. And one episode we did the game episode 6 was a little short, but at the same time, it really doesn't. We're not tied to a certain time limit.
No, like you said,
so
we're tired.
Like we said, I think we're gonna wrap this up now. Without show notes, this sometimes can be difficult. So for those watching after the video, we'll have our Instagram handle and our email address up there. And for those listening, you can email us at ttwen2023@gmail.com, or find us on Instagram at Eric_and_Nadine.
And we'll put those in the show notes.
Yes, they'll also put those in the show notes for those listening as well on Spotify. You can find that information in the show notes in case you missed it when I was saying it or didn't write it down fast enough. And before we go, though, did you want to tell them about your the goal we wanted to reach for subscribing?
My goal. Yes, I would love it if we could get 20 subscribers.
I think we said 20.
We said 20, which isn't a ton because I think we already have
I think we're at 15 right now.
Somewhere around there.
Ish.
We're in the teens now for subscribers.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it'd be really nice to get 20 subscribers. So if you've been watching our videos and you have not yet subscribed, subscribe.
Hit that subscribe button.
If you like our videos, hit the like button. Share it with a friend.
Sure. And you can even comment if you have a topic you'd like us to explore or a tea you want us to try. We know there's a lot out there that we have not yet tried. And we'd love to do that too. So let us know in the comments, or you can send us an email. And our goal of 20 is partly because her birthday is coming, as we kind of mentioned, and we'd like to do it. So we're about a week away.
A week and a few days.
A week and a few days.
Yeah.
And so we'd like to
March
hit that goal
27th.
by then, if we can. But only you can make that possible.
Yeah.
So do subscribe and let us know if you've been listening, and we'll appreciate that for sure.
We will.
So with all that, until next time,
Okay.
bye.
Bye.